Well, it is so great to be back in Prague. My sister and I, we were here in 2019, and we thought it was one of the most wonderful cities. So thank you for the invitation. Don't you think it's been a great conference so far? Shall we give them a round of applause for everyone that worked on it? So, you know, it's a great responsibility when you stand up here and you have 10 minutes. And I always say, what's going to be the most impactful stories and information that I can give? Because in 10 minutes, I have to motivate you. I have to make you realize how wonderful you are and that you have everything inside you that you need in order to be successful and in order to help each other out. So I decided, with the help of someone else, that Christina here, that I would tell my story today, because like you, there are many bumps along the road. So let's make sure. You know, we're living in a world, I don't have to tell you, full of anxiety and stress. And, you know, the normal now is disruption and chaos. That's the normal, and that is what's going to continue to be the normal. So we have to figure out ways of how we're going to handle disruption and chaos. So I wanted to ask you, I want to get a feel of the room. How fearless are you? So I have this bridge here. 1 is the lowest feeling, and 10 is, wow, I'm going to go out there and world, give me your best shot. And, you know, some days we feel in different places on here. But for today, I'd like to know how many of you are in the range of 1 to 3 on the low side? How many of you are on the 4 to 6? Okay, and how many of you are on 7 to 10? Okay, a lot of you didn't vote, so I'm not quite sure what's going on, but that's okay. All right, so that's 7 to 10. Can you please stand, 7 to 10? Come on, don't be shy. If you're 7 to 10, you're fearless. Get up. Get on your feet. Okay, look around. Notice who's here, and if you want some help in your fearlessness, talk to some of these women, because it's not just me. There are other people out there that feel this way. And you can ask anybody here for help, because that's why we're here, right? We're here to help each other. Okay, have a seat. Thank you so much. And so let's take a look at me and how I became fearless. So, you know, I grew up, I was the middle of 3 daughters. And, you know, I don't know if you know about the middle. How many of you are the middle of 3 siblings? Very few. Okay, so, you know, we usually grow up feeling, and I did, so insecure. I never volunteered about anything. Can you imagine? I never volunteered, I never stood out, and I always had to wear my older sister's clothes once they were too small for her, but they were too big for me, so I always looked terrible, and I was ashamed to be out. And when I was 11, I decided to join the library squad in school because, you know, those are usually shyer people. And so one day we're standing there, and the librarian comes in, and she looks at me, and she comes over, and she starts putting my blouse in and fixing my clothes in front of all these people. I just wanted the floor to open, and I wanted to disappear. And she's talking, and she's saying, "Doesn't your mother help you when you get dressed in the morning? How could she let you leave the house like this?" Oh my God, it was just the worst experience as a young girl of about 12. So, you know, I had very difficult time in accepting who I was and what I was. And then I grew up, my given name is Frances, and on television was Frances the Talking Mule. Oh my God. And, you know, this was in elementary school, so I was even younger. And I tried very hard to hide from people because they would start talking to me about, oh, what did she have for breakfast this morning? I can just imagine. And they would make donkey, you know, sounds. And, you know, it was really, as I'm telling you the story, it was a rough life growing up like this. And I was getting no's even in my adult life. I started out as a teacher, and I loved education. It is such a calling. And educators out there, really, we owe them so much because they create the future minds of America and of the world. And it's so, I don't think that educators are treated properly. And so anyway, I'm good at what I do, so I was asked if I would head up a department of health and phys ed. That was my degree, physical fitness, and we heard all about that this morning. And I said, yes, I'd love it. So how many of you think that if you work hard and you're really good at your job, you're really secure and you're going to be rewarded? That was a big value system of mine. And it turns out that it wasn't true, because we were on a seniority system. And one day a woman walked in and she had my job because she had more seniority than me. So I was, quote, bumped. And so I reverted back to my teaching license and I was a teacher. But that was one of the most devastating experiences of my life. I've never had that kind of feeling of devastation since or before, thank goodness, because all of my values were down the tubes, And so I started questioning myself. And I'd go to school every day and I'd do a great job because that's who I am. 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I was home watching TV, and all I did was vegetate for 1 year. And then I got a call. I was back to normal, and the principal called me and he said, hi, Eben just got a principalship, and I would like you to come back as the number 2 person. I said, I'd do it in 3 seconds or less, but am I going to be bumped again? He said, no, I looked all over the city, there's no one out there. And I said, great, I'd love it. So I went in, and guess what? This time, we got a 2-week notice that I was going to be bumped again for lack of seniority. Well, this time around, things were different. I said to myself, I am not going to be treated like this ever again. I am not going to put up with this. At the end of this semester, I'm leaving, and I'm going out and starting a new business. I'm going to be a consultant. When I told people I was going to be a consultant, they said, oh, a consultant to education? I said, no, a consultant to business. I had never been in the business world. But between the first bump and the second bump, I worked on me. I joined a business organization, and it was the OD Network. They were having a national conference. I got on the conference committee. I made a lot of connections. And so when I read a lot, I went to training programs, I worked on me. And I went to therapy because my values were, whatever, and they weren't real anymore. So it was a whole different experience that second time. I didn't care. I did love education, and I'd probably still be there today. So what was the difference? The difference was that I worked on me. So lesson number 1 is we have to work on ourselves. We have to learn about different things. If you ask any successful person, they'll tell you they spend hours a day reading up on everything they can get their hands on. I don't do all of that reading, but I read up and I learn about different things. I learned about Zoom. I didn't want to be on Zoom, but then all of a sudden I said, this is it. I've got to learn about Zoom. And then 2 women were offering a free Zoom on how to take your training programs from in-person to Zoom. I do training programs, so I did that. So think about it. What's one thing that you can do that you have no knowledge about, but you're going to read up on? Make a commitment to yourself and do it. Because we're all like butterflies, right? The butterfly starts off as a caterpillar. And it grows and it transforms into this beautiful, beautiful creature with all of these brilliance and colors. And they're really pretty to look at, right? And that's what we are. Women that I work primarily with women. And they say to me, when I get up and I have to do a presentation and I'm the only woman in the room, I get butterflies, I get nervous. I said, no, they're your friends. They're coming to you because they want to remind you of your brilliance, of your gifts, and of your talents that you're about to share. And the reason why they're fluttering is not to make you nervous, but to realize how excited you should be because you're ready to take that next step. And you know, I wear my butterfly all the time, regardless of my jewelry. I have a butterfly that a best friend gave me years ago, and I keep it on to remind me that we're all so beautiful, and we have so many gifts and talents, and we need to share them. The more we share our gifts, our talents, we become authorities, and we become more powerful because people realize what we have to offer. And when they need that skill, they come looking for you. Because we don't all have the answers. And that's why it's so important to let people know what kind of contributions you can make. Oh, I have to talk about gratitude. I start every day feeling so great and so powerful. And it's because of this gratitude. I have a gratitude book. I start one every year. I buy a brand new book, and it's got to be pretty. And every morning, 5 gratitudes. What am I grateful for? It could be a person, a place, a thing. And I have to write out the sentence each time. I'm grateful for. And then I have these 5. And guess what? I cannot use them this month. I have to wait for the month to finish. So what does that do for me? First of all, it puts you in a great mood. Because if you're feeling grateful, it's very hard to feel other feelings. And the other thing is, it makes me look around. You know, I can't say I love the sun again, and I'm grateful for it because I already used it. And it makes you look at different things in the world, and it opens your world, and it opens your eyes to see different things. So that's important. So I'd like you all to stand, because I would like to practice this. So please stand. I know you're getting tired. You're sitting there a long time. So there were studies done.
Time's almost up.
Okay.
But I thought you were standing.
Oh, I'm extended already? Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. Anyway, stand up, put your hands here. And this is the Wonder Woman pose. Before you do anything that you feel is going to be a big challenge, take a few seconds and stand still. And just stand like this. And of course, as we've been told before, you must have good posture. And when you do this, it's amazing how good you feel before you go into a meeting. And there have been studies on that. I'm going to just go to my last slide. Okay, you can sit down. And you know, while you're standing, you can say something to yourself like, I'm just like Wonder Woman. I mean, that wasn't in the study, but it's a recommendation. Because we all need to look like this, because we have a lot of bulls going on. Okay, you should have some fun. Challenge yourself. I'm a little afraid of height, but I went zip-lining. Oh, that was really quite a feat. And build movements. Join in coalitions. Make our voices more powerful. We have one in New York City. If you go to that URL, you will see many things that we've accomplished. We're 100 women's organizations right now in New York State. We work together. We get laws passed. And we want to change the world so that we live a better world. And so I always like to close with Hillary's quote, because I think it's so powerful and it is so true. And she said, now I have always believed that women are not victims. Are we victims? Oh, you could do better than that. Tell the world, are we victims?
No.
Right. We are agents of change. Are we agents of change? Oh my goodness, what a weak group this is. I don't know if you really believe it. We are drivers of peace, yes?
Yes.
And all we need is a fighting change. Yes, a fighting chance. Fighting change, too. Do you believe that?
Yes.
Okay, so we are the fighting chance. Together, we can provide chances for ourselves and for everyone else. So please, let's go out there and let's change this world, because we're women, and when women get together, we create miracles. So let's do that. Thank you so much for listening.